Welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast, where we discuss and analyze your favorite marble sports. From JMR Marble League to I'll Go Do tournaments, we'll make sure you never miss the action. All marble sports, all the time, right here on the MSW Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide Podcast. Oh my god, that waveform looks really fun. My name is Brendan.
And I'm Commander Wof.
Oh my god, when you started doing that, it just cut out. So you must have, blown your levels or some shit. I don't know. Welcome to the show, guys.
Oh, boy.
I have a story to tell before we get into the juicy Marble Sports content for today. But before I do, one of our live chatter beautiful people asked me and Wof, I tried to read it and I said the words wrong. Do you guys consider yourselves marble influencers, or do you cringe at the sound of that? It's a good question. I forget often that there are a good chunk of people that do listen to this weekly. There's a good 200 people at least that listen to the words that me and Wof have to say weekly and might be affected in some way with their fantasy teams or with their perspective on marble sports community by those words. And some episodes that are really important, like the Dion one or the interview with Greg Woods, have a lot more people. I think that in a small way, we are marble influencers. We can affect people's opinions and views on marble sports. I think I'm fine with it. I don't cringe at it. What do you think, Wof?
I don't cringe at it either. It's just kind of weird to think about it that, I my words influence people, but then, I kind of think about, the fact, yeah, there are a bunch of YouTubers who also influence me, and they don't know it either. And so, I guess, just, imagining my perspective, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a viewer, that I guess maybe I would be influencing someone, and that just seems kind of a weird thing to actually be, to influence someone else's opinion on something. That seems very strange.
Yeah, it is. But it's really cool. It's really cool that, because I exist, somebody else put Savage Speeders on their fantasy team when they weren't originally thinking so. Because I exist, people understand that Dion isn't the best CEO of the Marble Sports JMR. I don't know why I said Marble Sports JMR organization. Because me and Wof exist, really, I just wanted to make the sentence shorter. But because me and Wof exist, people have different views on what makes a good marble sports video and what should and should not be in a marble sports video, and encourage creativity on what they think should be added to an event in marble sports for the future. So it is really cool in that regard. So it's fun to think about that. It's fun to be excited about that. But before we tell a fun story. So I was at work today, and it was a cloudy day. I lifeguard at a country club, so me and one other guard just sitting there chilling. It's a cloudy day. There's a couple families there because I guess they just had nothing to do. It was kind of warm out still. It was just one of those warm but cloudy days, so it wasn't busy, but there's still those couple people. One of the families left, and it was just this one family with it was a mom and her two daughters, or mom and her daughter's friend. I have no idea. But they were there doing stuff in the pool, and for some reason, me and my friend Peter, he's the lifeguard guy, we were just trying to have fun. So the family had been there for a while, and I was like, listen, Peter, let's bet on when we think they're gonna leave. And we didn't bet any money on it because we actually bet money, not money. We bet something. We bet actual things on something else, and then I won the bet. So Peter's like, okay, I'm not betting anything anymore. I'll just bet for fun. So we bet just for fun on when they were going to leave. I said, it was 3 o'clock at the point. I said, okay, they're going to be out of here by 3:45. And Peter's like, okay, they're going to be out of here after 3:45, before 4:15. All right, so we locked our bets in, and we were like, we had when we started, we were just like, this is just stupid and for fun. We figured that they were either going to leave at 3:30 or leave at like 4, and it was just would be not too interesting, but at least something. At 3:35, they get out of the pool. And we start watching the clock on our phones, bro. And it just slowly ticks down. So the minutes slowly tick up towards 3:45. And they're like taking their time drying off. The girls is brushing each other's hair like Barbies or whatever. They look just overdoing it, all right? They had that dried off for about 20 years. And we were just like staring at, they kept checking our phones for the time as they kept going through the processes of having to leave. So it was like 3:40, and they were like still drying themselves off with the towel, and all their shit was all over the place. Then it was 3:42, and then they were starting to put things in their bags and shit. And I was like, dude, come on, get out of here. And Peter, of course, was like, don't get out of here yet. And at like 3:44, the mom picks up her stuff. The girls pick up their stuff. They start walking out. Then the mom stops, she looks over at us, and she's like, I'm gonna go get the car, bring it up here first, and then pick them up. And I'm like, oh, I just died laughing right there when she said that. And she was so confused because she had to do that, of course, she wasn't going to get that done in like 10 seconds. It was like 10 seconds at that time before 3:45 changed to 3:46. So I was just like, and I just fell on the floor and started laughing. And Peter just started laughing. And she was so confused. But they actually ended up leaving like right at 3:46. And I was like, oh my God, the actual odds of it being right at the time we bet on is ridiculous. So it was a really fun moment. It was fun, the stress and the suspense of us just sitting there for 10 minutes checking our phones. And just, it's funny that they didn't even know that we were like hoping they would leave at a certain time. But it was really hilarious moment. So you can make fun out of a boring situation is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I guess that's proof of it.
Yeah, and then when they all left, we took out and we threw trick shots into little cups with golf balls. It was really fun. That's what we do when there's nobody there at the pool. We entertain ourselves because sometimes I'll just sit there and watch something on my phone if no one's there. But sometimes that's just boring. So, anyways, that's that. We have to talk marbles. So let's get to the news. Johnny Marble, take it away. We have a lot of news this week.
Hello, Marble sports fans! I am not Johnny Marble. Nope, that's right. This is the one and only Commander Wof. So Johnny is actually feeling kind of burnt out on voice work, as they not only do our show here, but they also do work for other people. So I felt it was fair to give him a time to kind of recharge his batteries and come back stronger than ever. So instead, I shall be delivering the news today. As always, we are sponsored by the Marble Hotel. Wherever you roll, we'll be there. Event 4 of Marble League 2021, The Funnel Endurance, was an incredibly nail-biting event to watch. In Heat 1, Mo from Team Momo struggled throughout most of the event, and after being the second marble to reach the final funnel, it seemed like they wouldn't be moving on. However, in an incredible display of endurance and control, Mo ended up finishing second in the heat and moved on to the finals. Heat 2 was very much the opposite of Heat 1, as Rezi from the Raspberry Racers held a dominant lead over the rest of the competitors, but could only be described as a near-perfect run. Even after all of the other marbles finished, Rezi still remained in the second-to-last funnel, and by the end, they finished 36.26 seconds ahead of Shock in second place. In the final heat, it seemed like Rezi had used up most of their stamina, as they started plummeting through the funnels very quickly, and was the third marble in the final funnel. But just like Mo before them, they managed to hold on and face off against Mocha in the closest funnel battle I have ever seen. It was down to the wire, but Rezi ultimately gave out first, leaving Mocha as the victor. The Chocolatiers took home their first gold medal since long jump in 2017, followed by the Raspberry Racers in second, and Rojo Dos from the Rojo Rollers in third. And now, for Event 5, the 5-meter relay. This event tested not just the speed of the marbles, but also their teamwork, so everyone needed to give their best effort. The most surprising performance came from the O'Rangers, who've had a good history with relay these past few years and even hold the current Marble League record. when they started strong but then fell to dead last in the semifinals. Moving on to the finals, things were fairly even after the first pass-off, but after the second, the Savage Speeders rocketed ahead of their competitors and secured first, marking their 4th gold medal in the 5-year history of this event. Not to be forgotten are Team Momo, who claimed second, and the Shining Swarm in third. Finally, we have a brand new event, Jousting. This event is the 3rd duo event in Marble League history, which pitted 2 marbles from a team against another in an attempt to push a large ball bearing into the opposing side. The event featured several great performances, such as marbles rolling back up and down the starting ramp to get an extra hit in, and the incredibly close victory by the Hazers over the Rangers in the semifinals. In the bronze medal match, Team Momo beat out the Savage Speeders to claim 3rd. In the gold medal match, the Hazers stole the show with the highest score of the event and took home 1st, leaving Mellow Yellow with 2nd. The competition is really starting to heat up, and with the Savage Speeders finally getting back in their groove, it's only going to get tougher for the other teams. Well, that was the news, and I'm glad you stuck with me. This might become a regular thing, not really sure, but we'll see as the weeks go by. I'm Commander Wolf, you are the best fans in the world. Let's kick it on back to Brendan and, well, myself, for the podcast.
We have returned from the news. Thank you to Johnny Marble for the 106th time, even though actually it's not that many. It's like 100.
Yeah, it's not that many.
It's like 90.
It's close.
9. For many time, the nth time, we'll say, for doing the news. He does a great job.
It's true at least once.
Yeah. But we have a lot of marbles to talk. We're going to hit that mailbag real quick. See what y'all have to say. And then we're going to go through each of the 3 events. We're going to rate them out of 10. We're going to talk about cool things in the events and that stuff. We'll probably throw our current fantasy standings in before we do that as well. But let's hit the emails. Let's see what you guys have to say about the past couple of events here in Marble League. So here we go, starting with Alex is cool. Always a good emailer. By the way, you can email us. You can email us. mswpodcast@gmail.com. Please email us. Please just say anything about marbles or anything at all. We want to hear it. mswpodcast at
Oh my gosh, I forgot what Alex titled the email.
he titled his email Martha Dumbtruck. I don't know why. So Alex says, R.I.P. Ducks. Ducks have been up and down this season, but they really have been up and down. He says, also, I am currently making a real-life replica of Wof's bowling alley out of cardboard and a Pepsi-looking marble. Brendan's marble is really, really hard to make. Yeah, my marble is like a really bitchy marble to make. Black with a gold cat's eye. That's someone, Bill from the Racing Marble League had a marble maker try to make my marble and sent me 2 of them, and both of them are good, but they're not my marble. Hard.
I feel like your marble, I think, is like scientifically impossible as of right now, dude. Like to get the way you specifically want it to look.
I'm sure someone will figure it out. But in the meantime, thank you for telling us that. I'm excited to see what Wof's bowling alley looks like in your imagination.
I am very interested as well. I want to know what this looks like.
All right. The next email is titled Marbles. Classic. All right. He says, Dear MSWP, hi, this is Ethan, age 11. I am writing in about a few topics, including my fantasy team.
The numbers are their multiplier, by the way. I figured that out reading it later.
Okay, so... All right, well, I'm just going to go. The first thing he has, number 1, Raspberry Racers. All right, Raspberry Racers have always been an overlooked team, but I'm about to provide evidence that shows they aren't that bad. All right, let's hear it. The Raspberry Racers won the amazing marble tournament back... Now, you know what? No, I don't even want to hear about the amazing marble tournament. That is just... I can see Woff's face right now. I see Woff's face right now. He's laughing. Amazing marble race is not accepted in my vocabulary, okay? But listen, hey, you know what? I didn't even give him the time of day. Let's read his email. The Raspberry Racers won the amazing marble tournament back in 2018, a tournament testing skill and speed. Is that so? It's not just a filler tournament. Wasn't that just a filler video to waste some time?
Honestly, like, why? I gotta agree that like it does feel like people put more weight on that than they really should.
I agree. It's like one. Wait, isn't it just? Is it literally just one video, right?
Yeah, it's just one video.
That's true, live chat. They do put weight on it. They like the team. But you know what? Let's keep reading. Also, they won the 2019 Marble League. Well, there's some evidence showing the Maze tournament was not a fluke. I don't think the Maze tournament had anything to do with the win in the 2019 Marble League. I really do not. I think you can still provide really good evidence for Raspberry Racers being a good team and just delete the sentence about the amazing Marble tournament. Okay, they did do that. Showing the Maze tournament was a fluke. Even though they didn't do well in M1, you could say that they didn't do good because it was individual racers. That's fair, and not the whole team racing, like in the Maze tournament. Also, exactly half of the 2019 events were the whole team. Finally, I want to talk about the current Marble League. The first two events, the whole team was there. In the third, they didn't do good because it was just Razzie. In Final Endurance, I think they did good because they are naturally slow. Without the whole team, I think that that as long as there are team events, I think they can do good this year. You neglected to mention the fact that they absolutely destroyed it in the qualifiers this year as well. That would have been some nice evidence. I'll throw that in to help you out a little bit. I think there's a lot of evidence for the Raspberry Racers being a valid team this year. I think that you might have something where the Raspberry Racers are a high performance team when it comes to teamwork. I feel like you or me said that like a couple episodes ago, maybe? I don't know. Like I don't remember.
Yeah, they're my × 3 pick for a reason.
Wof is ×3 picked them, and he's actually doing well this year. So they are a good team. I think that they're not going to win this year, but I think that it's very true that they are not a bad team. So I agree with you. Next one, Oceanics, also numbered as 1. I don't know why. But Oceanics, was it a good idea to fire the Oceanics coach back in 2019? I looked back at the Oceanics performances in the Marble League, including the Winter Marble League Special, and saw maybe it wasn't the best idea. Interesting. Back in 2016, they finished in 10th. The next year, they got 11th. Then they got 3rd in 2018. In 2019, they got dead last, leading to the firing of the coach. Things didn't seem to be getting better, as they finished in 10th, like they had done in 2016. It was like they were starting over. I think the coach must have trained them well, though, because they came back and won the Winter Marble League Special. Yeah, that was very odd that they won that. Another reason they might have won is because they have always raced good in winter. It's true. I said at the beginning that firing the coach wasn't the best idea, and now I'm going to tell you why. Thank you. Back in 2019, they qualified. They also qualified in 2016, 17, and 18. With their old coach, you used the wrong there. The old coach, they qualified for everything. They didn't qualify this year with the new coach, and that's a good point. They were tied in dead last at the qualifiers. I calculated their averages with the old couch. Old coach, I know what you meant. And the new one. For this year, they got 23rd place because they qualified 23rd, combining Group A and B. With the old couch, their average was 10th place. And with the new coach this time, the average is 11.3333. Maybe they shouldn't have fired the coach. Left a lot of dead air here. I have to disagree with you on that. I really actually have to. I think that there's not enough long-term data with the new coach to provide accurate, weighted evidence for those numbers. I also think that the Oceanics are, besides with the exception of winter, without the coach, they're just bad. The evidence you provide points me to the fact that if they're not racing in winter, if they are not racing on ice, they just aren't a good team. All right? Throw in a couple new events in the qualifiers like Swing Wave, and the Oceanics aren't going to be able to handle themselves. All right? I don't think that the old coach was doing them any good. I don't think the new coach is doing them much good. I don't think the coaches are really the effect here on the Oceanics, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was so confused about. Like, I was like, wait, they fired Rango? When? And I was like, but no.
You thought it was O'Rangers the whole time? Damn.
Yeah, I was so confused. Like, when did this happen?
But my point being that I don't think the coach is the reason the Oceanics are bad. I think you need some new players on the team, and I think I said that back when they got last place in 2019. Yeah, it was 19. 20. 19, it was 19. I said that maybe they should have 2 new players on the team. And they didn't do that.
Yeah.
The coach is immaterial right now for the Oceanics based on the data you put. You gave me data. You gave me numbers. You gave me a bunch of numbers. Your numbers say that the Oceanics are bad all the time. If you think there's a difference between averaging 10th and 11th place, then I have to tell you that I think you're wrong. If you're averaging under 8th place, if you're within 1 placement with 2 different coaches, then your coach is not doing that much for you.
Yeah, that's not a big enough difference. Also, the Raspberry Racers thing with the final endurance, that was Resi, not Razzie, which actually, we'll talk about that later, but Resi is not normally good at final endurance, so this is kind of like a redemption for them. But
it's good to hear.
We'll talk about that as we get
final
there
endurance is different this year. We'll talk about when we get there. But I just want to let you know that maybe your data, while very true, is more revealing of the fact that the Oceanics need to work on, that's a team, just on their players, on the performers, not the coaches. Thank you for writing in on that. Rapidly.
Yes.
Next topic. I know you want us writing. I do want people writing in about Rapidly. Shit. All right. People, not many people did. A couple people did, I think. I know you want us writing in about Rapidly, so I will tell you my opinion on them. I think this goes back to Marbula 1 here. I think replacing Rapidly isn't the best choice. I'm about to yell at you. Because I'll read it out. Because if Rapidly
wasn't fantasy. They just forgot to put number 2 next to Oceanics and put 1 instead. Oh.
Yeah, you can't pick Oceanics, sir. You can't pick Rapidly either. He's a marble. What are you talking about?
I sped through this like when I first saw it. All right, okay, because I was waiting for today. I'm sorry.
All right, okay. I think replacing Rapidly isn't the best choice because if Rapidly was so bad, the Savage Speeders would never have had enough points to finish in second. Something I want to compare this to is the Cobalt. Cerulean got 6 in the individual racer standings, which could have been good for the team, but it wasn't. Because Azure finished in 35th. Wow, that sucks. I have to be honest. 35th sounds really bad on paper. Rapidly finished 6 in the individual racer standings in Marble 1 Season 1. This year, they got 14th, still in the top half. Rapidly got a bronze and a gold. This shows that both teammates didn't do that bad compared to teams like the Cobalts or Thunderbolts who had a good racer, but their teammate was letting them down. I think replacing Rapidly would be a huge risk because they can still help their team get second. They have experience in Marbula 1, which showed what they won at Midnight Bay in Marbula 1 Season 2. The risk is worse than the reward right now, and unless they do really bad in M1 Season 3, I think it will remain that way. I'm going to let Wof answer this because he probably knows what I'm about to rant about for a minute, but I'm going to let Wof talk first. What do you think about what he just said?
I can definitely see your point on that, but at least for me, like, I've never been of the mindset that Rapidly is a bad racer, but more that like one of the other speeders could do better than them, but I do understand like the fear of like, well, at least they are proven to be at least a top half racers, so they can at least get some good points for the whole team. But at the same time, you gotta take those risks sometimes. Like that's just how it is. I think the reward, there's actually more to gain than to lose, especially because the cat's eyes are dominant in M1 right now. They need something to really get that advantage.
That's another good point, but here's the 2 points I'm going to bring up. Number 1, the Savage Speeders don't want to finish in second. Let's just get that out of the way. That's not okay for the Savage Speeders. They don't want to be a second place team. Number 2, it's not a risk to replace Rapidly because the Savage Speeders are so good. It's a risk. It's probably more of a risk to replace Azure with a different Cobalt than to replace Rapidly with a different speeder.
Okay, now you're going to defend that. How is replacing Azure more of a risk?
Okay, Azure might not be a risk because he's 35th, so you can't get any lower than that. But my point being, it's not a risk to replace Rapidly because the other players on the Savage Speeder are all good. The Savage Speeders are that good that each of their marbles are all very good racers. And the Savage Speeders are not good with second place. And Rapidly got 0 points like 3 times. He's not a bad racer, but for Savage Speeders, for an elite team as good as the Savage Speeders, Rapidly way underperformed this year. And that's not okay when you have teams like the Crazy Cat's Eyes who can't get out of first place. I'm not saying that Rapidly is bad. I'm saying that if you look at the team you have, the Savage Speeder team you have better racers on that team. You have Wizzy. We looked at the stats for Wizzy in Marble League racing events. It was either Wizzy or Swifty that were like really good and worth a chance.
It was Swifty.
It was Swifty.
Thank you, live chat.
Thank you. We appreciate you very much. Rapidly is not necessarily your best speeder racer. And as a team, no matter how good you are, no matter what place you can maintain, I know first and second is good, but your job as a coach, your job as a team is to put forth your 2 best racers out in Marbula 1. And right now, compared to the other players you have in the bank, Rapidly is not that player. His first 4 races could be thrown in the garbage. They were all bad. If it wasn't for the last 2, he'd be down with Azure, having very badly made coffee, probably. I don't know what bad racers get to drink after the race, but probably not very good things. All right?
I feel like they all get to drink the same water and energy drinks, but whatever.
I think, and I'm very strongly opinion about Rapidly, but I think the opinions regarding how the Savage Speeder should proceed in this situation is different than if another team had this situation where with Speedy and Rapidly, or a different team had those 2 marbles in the same finishing positions and the same second place. If Cobalt's had a 6th overall, or what was it? Speedy was like something overall, and then 14th overall, and they finished in second, I'd be like, keep that same team for the Cobalts. Because we don't know if the other 2 Cobalts team racers are good. But we know the other 2 Savage Speeder racers are good. And we know the chances of a different Savage Speeder racer doing worse than Rapidly, getting 4 races where we get absolutely no points on the board, is very, very low. That's enough Marbula 1 for today, though.
I guess it's being fair to them real quick that, like, they unless they've been doing some practice races, then Rapidly has more M1 experience than the rest of the team. And as we talked about before, M1 track racing is different. It's like how Cat's Eye, like Blue Eye is good on elemental stuff, but Red Eye was really good on just M1 track specifically. It's like there are marbles that do better on certain things. For all we know, the speeders, with the exception of like only like Speedy, are terrible on M1 tracks. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. We'll have to. Remains to be seen. We're still in this email. Fantasy, he says. Okay, I was too late to submit, but I'm keeping track of my points. After the first 4 events, I have 277. Let's see where that is. We will get to talking about our fantasy. Well, 277 would put you in almost last. And actually almost last. Oh, after the first 4 events. Oh, and I don't know, because this shows the first 5. So actually you might be up much higher. He goes Crazy Cat's Eyes times 3. Why the Cat's Eyes been dominant recently? I knew they would be my first pick. Crazy Cat's Eyes not going to win this year. I almost picked them, but I don't think they're going to win this year. Thunderbolts times 2. That's not a terrible pick. Why? As a fan, I've been watching them doing better recently, and I think this is their year. Green Ducks for 3. Why? Green Ducks are a consistent team, and I think they were going to have a good year. They're consistent. Rangers. Why? Their second place last year shows momentum. That's what I thought. Mellow Yellow. Why? Second group in qualifiers, plus I'm a big fan of them. I love Mellow Yellow too, and they're actually performing okay this year. Thank you for reading this email. I enjoy listening to the show. Ethan, listen. I am glad you wrote in. Don't take what I said too harshly about Rapidly. I love your opinions. I think that you thought out your answers, and I got to give you credit for coming up with all these facts. Obviously, I'm going to have an opinion, and obviously, I like to yell a lot about marbles, so If you feel like I was yelling at you a little bit, don't get too phased. But if you've been listening for a while, you know this is the Marble Guy way. So thank you for writing in. I really did enjoy your email. I hope you keep writing in with
thank you
these
so
kinds of
much.
opinions.
I'm glad you're enjoying the show.
It was a live chat. I am like the Simon Cowell of marbles. I really am. Thank you for that. That's actually funny.
I just imagined that was absolutely dreadful.
Well, let's not talk about relay. Okay. Couple more emails here. We got some big ones. This is good, though, because you get to hear what people think about what's going on right now. Richard comes in. Number 1 marble team chances. Richard says Savage Beaters will be ranked first unless Rangers or Hazers finish at least 12 places ahead of them in Marble League.
I believe that refers to the overall point value, like from the overall team rankings from every year.
Oh, okay. So for overall lifetime rankings for marble teams, Rangers and Hazers can overtake the Savage Beaters at first overall if they finish 12 places ahead of them in Marble League this year. That's actually really interesting. Thank you, Richard. Richard also writes in, Team Sprint, he calls this. For the Marble Games of Summer, Marble League, instead of relay race, it will be a team sprint. Should it be the first, second, or third, or fourth marble on the team to cross the finish line decide the winner?
It's been... Yeah, this is something I've always wondered about. Like, I don't think we've ever discussed it, but like in all the races like this, it's always been the third marble, if I'm not mistaken.
I like that. I like third marble because what it does, it encourages teamwork to be fast, but it also leaves room for one marble to suck. And I think that makes a lot of sense. So I would personally say third marble because I actually do like that structuring, but I mean, that's up to you.
Yeah, I think that works too.
And it should always be an addition of the 3 times, I'd say.
I feel like it's almost pointless to have everyone race if you're only going to end after the first marble, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure, because then it's not really a team situation.
Like, sure, they can like fight and like push the other team members aside and push their member ahead, but like for the most part, they're really kind of doing nothing.
Right. For sure. All right, final email here. Well, we have 2 more emails. One of them was sent to me over Discord, though. Okay. So Edu has 2 emails. One was before Jousting came out, and one was after. So here we go. His subject is Jousting. What is that? We know now. Edu says, I'm interested to see how this new event will unfold, but first, my impressions of stages 4 and 5 of ML 2021. Funnels. The 3 different sizes led to an interesting variation in the action and the results. I agree. Showboating, upsets, comebacks, everything happened. I agree. Relay. While the gold was the most normal result so far, 4 wins and 5 attempts. Wow. Speeders are crazy. We still saw some strong contenders falling behind and the 2 most forgotten teams making it to the finals. I agree. It was
true.
an interesting relay. We'll talk about that. But I really want to know is what are your opinions on the new addition to the league, which is coming this Tuesday? While we already know some takes on jousting, this seems to be the first time someone executed it with physical marbles and in doubles. Well, jousting is a event for this episode, so hang on until later on this episode. I will be giving all my opinions on jousting. Update with his opinion, because jousting came out by the time we're recording this. This mix of a ball battle and block pushing produced some interesting results, which I can see why. Building speed was an important aspect to get a good impact, and sticking together to transfer most of the energy onto the ball bearing. These were the keys to success.
Agreed.
Very astute. Edu is always one of the smartest people on the planet.
Wow.
He should be a marble
big praise.
Connoisseur. He's a smart man. The way he writes his emails are very concise, are very well thought out, are usually very poignant in a way. So I always appreciate Edu when he writes in. I'm excited to talk about jousting. I'm excited to talk about what I think are the strategies for jousting, but we'll get there. One more email. This one's a long one. Let's jump into it, and then on to the duration of the show here. All right, so Super Yak writing in. Oh my fuck, a long email. Here we go. It doesn't have a subject because it was sent to me on Discord, but here we go. This email contains my fantasy picks along with way too much reasoning behind each team. Wow. And also my opinions on the event so far. At the end is my trivia question for today. We'll just do your trivia question because we're not going to do a trivia segment probably for the rest of Marble League because there's so much Marble League to just talk about. But we'll do your question because you write it in. Times 3 for Savage Speeders. Brennan, cover your ears. Why? I think that's not a bad pick.
Yeah.
I followed the guide and agreed with most of the ideas, but the one thing I didn't do on mine was put my winning prediction times 3. Interesting. My reason for this is I did not feel confident enough to make a winning pick. Well, that makes sense. I originally thought the Raspberry Racers, but I thought of Mellow Yellow and couldn't decide, so I went with the Speeders. Do I think they will win? Probably not. Facts. Do I think they will podium? Yes. Wow, that's strong. I think they will get second or third this year. I feel confident enough to make that my times 3. I think they'll top 5.
Yeah, I think so too. Like they've had their low point and they've already done the claw back. It's kind of like they're here to stay now again. Like that's how it is.
And they're already in 4th, so we'll see. Times 2 Raspberry Races. This one I feel better than Mellow Yellow. I would agree with that. They had a very strong performance in the qualifiers, and they showed in the past that they have the ability to rack up many points if they get the chance. They had a less than expected 2020 ML finishing in 9th. However, they had a strong start to that year, up at 1 point, second and third in the standings. That is true. They finished with one of each medal, and while they aren't the best in M1, their performance in both the start of 2020 and 2021 shows that it doesn't faze them. I heavily thought about putting them in times 3, but I just had a weird feeling that I couldn't be too confident in that. I agree with you. Raspberry Racers will not win this year. And the reason I say that is because there's too much saturation of other unexpected teams messing with the medals positions right now that I don't think the Raspberry Racers are going to be the ones to emerge from that conglomeration victorious. We got Rojo Rollers and Chocolatiers and weird teams up there. Momo, weird. Times 1 Rangers. This team is going to finish 4th or 5th overall. Well, that'd be a miracle right now. They won't podium, and I don't think they will beat the Speeders. If they wanted revenge, I think they would have done it in the M1 Season 2. I disagree with that. They are not an M1 team compared to ML, where they have shown they are skilled enough to compete competitively and win. However, they finish in 10th, disappointing their standards. The start of the season so far reminds me of 2019, where after the Event 2, they were dead last, but then over the rest of the league, they managed to climb their way up and finish 6th. That is actually fair. The team, I feel very strongly, would get themselves together by the end of the tournament and will podium in at least 2 events. Well, I mean, I'm missing out on those podiums. I'm really missing out.
Oh,
We're
you
6 events
so
in.
are.
Where are the 2 podiums that you speak of, sir? Yeah, I'm yelling at my wall right now. Not much there. We're moving, so all my dressers are gone. Where are my podiums? Name the events. It's going to happen. Can I get 1? Can I get 1?
It's so sad when you lose knowing what your fantasy is at. It's like, can we give Brendan a podium?
It's the old Rangers. We all know the cheer. Oh, well, shut up. I'm just gonna continue the email. Mellow Yellow. Let's mellow down here for a little bit, guys. This team is at a high risk reward team. How? What is going on with your Rangers, man? Mellow Yellow. This team is a high-risk reward team. Either they are in title contention or they are in last place contention. Now, you know what? That might be the smartest thing ever said about the O-Rangers Super Yak. This team seems to alternate between them, and hopefully this is the year they are good. They have what it takes. They do. All of their members can and have excelled at events in the past. Yellow won 2 golds in 5-meter sprint. Yellup is a good distance runner with silver in the marathon last year and decent stats from M1 Season 1. Yelly's a good long jumper with bronze last year, and also a good sand racer in the team with a gold in 2016 sand rally. And I was running in first the practice race 2021 before they got stuck. Yellum just got a silver medal in jousting somehow, which shows that he has potential. Yella has gotten a gold and bronze in high jump 2017-2020, but unfortunately without jumping events this year, that won't be useful. The question overall for the team is whether or not they end up using those resources to their advantage. In bad years, they've been simply unlucky. I believe this team has what it takes to win it all this year. They have a similarly strong performance in the qualifiers for the Raspberry Racers with 2 golds and guaranteed qualification for the first event. After event 1, they showed they could do it. After event 5, they showed they could not do it. I didn't feel confident to put them as a multiplier as the Racers, which turned out to be good for now. I still think that from the qualifiers performance, they are a good pick. Shit, that's a lot about the Melio. Yeah, they're a good pick. That's all I got to say about that. Number 1, Rojo Rollers. Half of this has been emails. The Rojo Rollers have the potential to be a team that can do really well. I have a feeling they will do well in triathlon, moguls, rally, and marble cross, mainly because Rojo Uno excels in sand. Rojo Uno placed second in sand rally in 2016, won the 2018 Constellation Sand Race, finished second in the practice race, and finished fifth in the qualifier sand rally. Of course, since the sand events are a large portion, it would make sense to put them on there, except funnels. The team is yet to show who they truly are and currently sit in the bottom part of the standings. However, I feel they will rise up towards the end of the season. 2 other things I want to mention. First is the bashing of Velocity for not picking it past the first heat in 5 minutes. Oh my god, past the first heat in 5-meter sprint? I don't even want to read the rest of this. It's a Savage Speeders. I don't care which marble you put out there. The marble you put out there for 5-meter sprint on the Savage Speeders team should pass the first heat. I'm going to read the rest of this because I'm nice. While I agree that Velocity should have advanced, keep in mind that the heat 1 they were put with was filled with other skilled sprinters and could have eaten... No, but... It's the Savage Speeders. They are supposed to be the most skilled sprinter. And actually, you saw as a team, because the other racers are all good on the Savage Speeders, they easily won one relay. Easily. Not even like it really wasn't a contest. Let's be real. I'll pull up relay today when we talk about it. They won the final heat. They won the finals by a mile. All right?
Mile finals. That felt like they rhymed in my head, but that really didn't.
They could easily be confused for a semifinal or final, leading a couple people to call that the group of death. Okay. In fact, this lineup is exactly the same as the semifinal run from 2020 5 meters, except Yellow and C were swapped. Yellow, as I mentioned earlier, 2 golds in this event in the past, clearly a veteran sprinter. Smoggy, silver, 5-meter sprint, finished in 5th and 20th, held the first record set in 2020. Billy, 4th in 2019, 6th in 2020, should be the weakest one here, but had a great record-setting performance in the heat, so that removed the possibility of beating him. I mean, you have stats, you have data, you have evidence. I don't care. The Savage Speeders are supposed to get past the first heat and sprint. I don't care who we race against. I do not care. I just don't. What's the name of the team, Wof?
The Savage Snailers.
You know what? We're going to move on to the rest of the email. All right. Also, my take on some of the events so far. Super Yak, you really got a lot to say today, buddy, but I love it. Swing Wave, while it's not the most entertaining thing to watch, it's true. It is, in my opinion, the ultimate team event. It tests out basically every skill except for balancing. No, it does not test out every skill except for balancing. We have to talk about 3 other events, but can someone remind me to come back to that at some point? Because it's just not true.
Sure, yeah.
But he's going to try to explain it. Strength to possibly push others into the 0 zone. Teamwork to plan out how they will roll down. Speed to get farther down and not get stuck in 5s and 6s. Precision to not go too far. Endurance possibly because they had to do it twice. Grasping at straws there. Balancing, not really anything much to mention that you haven't said already. 5-meter sprint, not too much to mention on my end except my velocity ran earlier. Funnels. I think the blue funnels didn't really do much to add to the course feel, but I did not like how the first green funnel had the marbles dropped into it almost straight line instead of dropping into a circle. It didn't feel right to me. Also, I note that the winners of the first 2 heats got a medal. 2019 is the only other year that has occurred. That's cool. Relay. Note the O'Rangers in the first heat in the semifinal. How it seemed the final legs tired out in the semifinal after running a good first heat. On the flip side, the first legs in the first heat didn't go too fast, but the semis, they started out strong. Now, that's interesting to look at. Jousting. So far, out of all the events that have taken place, this is my favorite. I like the graphics a lot. I like the commentary notes and the extras that were much better than any of the previous events. I also like the situations where marble like Speedy, Lightning, and where the back marble would run back up the track and then come down and give it a final push. Yes! Can't wait to talk about that. I didn't like, however, that the ball bearing was slow and seemed to be hard to move. I did. But other than that, I thought it was a great event. Although it's hard to imagine the fact that Yellum and Cloudy, both reserves with 0 and 3 prior points respectively, now have medals to their name. That is true. Also note that the hurdles event is no longer going to be the flaps like in years past, but instead will be actual jumps. No way!
Yeah. Did you not see that?
We've talked about this.
I don't know if they're gonna be jumping over anything, but they are jumps. They are jumping now.
I guess I just didn't. We'll have to pull out the preview. You know how many times me and Wof mentioned that we want hurdles to be actual jumps? That's going to get a good rating this year if it's executed well.
Good. I hope it's good. I hope it's good.
Trivia this week. Sorry, guys, we had a lot of emails this week, but we had a lot of makeup to do. It's been, we had a late episode this time.
This is gonna be a
difficulty.
special
If you
episode.
get this entirely, you have my full respect. Now, that is something to say from Super Yak.
All right. What difficulty?
That's the difficulty. If you get this entirely, you have my full respect. Question. There were 2 duo events in 2020 ML, a Newton's Cradle and Black Hole Funnel. I don't want to ever hear Black Hole Funnel again. The 3 teams kept the same pair of marbles for both events. 3 teams kept the same pair of marbles for both events without changing a single marble. Name those teams and their marbles. Well, I just saw one of the answers by accident because I scrolled down too much. Thanks for putting a spoiler box, Super Yak. He didn't. So I saw one team name, but so I will get one right. So I won't say that one.
I don't think it's the Raspberry Racers because I think that they had Rozzy for the Black Hole Funnel, which they didn't do for the previous one.
I don't even know how you remember that.
It's because I looked up Raspberry Racer stuff in terms of funnel endurance. And I typed in funnel and then hit Control F to search funnel stuff. So I know that's just recent knowledge I have. I ain't got no idea.
I know one of them, but I'm not going to say it.
I want to say Momo maybe, but like I feel like Momo changed it up. But maybe they didn't. Momo O-Rangers.
It's 2.
That is two, and I just can't think of anything else. I don't know, freaking Chocolatiers were there, right? Yeah, they were.
Yeah, maybe.
Chocolatiers, sure, why not?
I know O-Rangers is an answer. I saw it by accident. I'm not even going to try to name the marbles. I saw Clementine. The other 2, I promise I didn't see them, so if I get them right, sorry for being smart. That's hard. Who's most likely to keep the same? I lean like Hazers and Green Ducks. That's it. I just lean there.
What's the answer?
The answer, indeed. Oh, he put the spoiler box around. Savage Speeders and Thunderbolts. Listen, that was a really hard question. If anybody else listening got that question, I demand you email in and just tell me that you did before I said the answer, because you know a lot about marbles. That is a ridiculous question. That is a very hard question to be able to get. But thank you, Super Yak, for sending that in, and you test us to the max. But it's information we now know. Black Hole Funnel was great, says one of our live chat members. Someone find the episode where I talked about how bad that thing is and send it to her, please, because
it's whatever the episode that the event came out with. I don't know which one it was.
Go find, please. Actually, I'm inclined to now bring you on the show and let you defend that, because that is by far that is the I said, this is how I phrase it. That is the only video ever on JMR's channel that I have purposely and happily downvoted. I downvoted that video. I gave it a dislike. And I don't do that often. Even if I don't like a video that much, I usually just don't touch the like or the dislike. I disliked that video because it was so bad. It was such an insult, in my opinion, to marble sports. Wow. I don't think Showdown Black Hole Funnel was good either. But let's move on to events. We've done half the episode.
Yes, it's time to go to Marble League.
To start with events, we'll talk about fantasy. Wof, you talk about your fantasy. I'll go find mine while you talk.
I am slaying it, boys. Oh my gosh. I am just absolutely shredding it, dude. I am tied for 9th place right now, and I got 97 more points from jousting. I'm going up. My top 4 my picks are in the top 4. That is insane. The only one who's not in the top 4 is one of my times 1 picks, the Rojo Rollers, which doesn't infect anything that much. I am doing so dang well. Like, I actually have a chance. And no, it's early. We're still at the halfway point just yet. But with the way things are going, my word. And the Momo's performance, we're going to talk about it for each event, man. This has been fantastic.
I am not nearly as excited. I'm in 216th place.
Out of, what was it, 376?
Don't add words to it. That is pretty bad. It's still right. I will get some extra points from jousting, so I'll move up a little bit.
393.
393. Oh, wait, that's a total.
Yeah.
But
remember, there are some duplicate teams for some reason that still need, so that you will be shifted up maybe like a dozen places maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. But I don't know what to tell you. Well, Rangers have not been performing where they need to be performing. Savage Speeders have been slow to start. Though we'll talk about relay. Cat's Eyes have been mid-pack. I did not think they were going to win, but we'll see where they end up. Raspberry Racers and Glaciers started well, have slacked off. Raspberry Racers are my best team on my team right now. Right? All teams on my fantasy are better than the Rangers right now. We have a tough year coming, guys, but we have 10 events left. But we'll talk more Rangers as we get into events. Let's start with the first event. I'll pull it up here on the Chrome, the YouTubes.
Yes, let's do it. I haven't actually
Funnel Endurance. Now, Wof, let's start normal. Let's rate this event out of 10. Let's talk some Funnel Endurance.
I feel like I've actually kind of enjoyed us like talking about it and then giving a rating at the end, like after we hear each other's positions on it.
Sure, go ahead. Say what you want about Funnel Endurance.
So, okay, Funnel Endurance, I feel like this is about as close to perfection as Funnel Endurance could ever hope to be in terms of an event. Like, we had the first heat, we had a really incredible comeback with Momo. Like, they were like the second or first marble down to the last funnel, and then they finished in second place. It's like, what the heck? That's crazy. And then you have in Heat 2, where Rezi is just absolutely dominating it by over a minute over the rest of the other marbles. Like, that's just stupidly insane. And then in the last heat, you have an actual close finish. I've never thought we would ever see it. Normally you can tell after a certain point which marble is going to go through first, but with that little duel between I think it was Chaco and Rezi, it's like I didn't know who was going to go through first. I was actually on the edge of my seat waiting to see who was going to go through first. That was, you know what, I was going to wait for my rating, but you know what, 10 out of 10. That was as perfect as Funnel Endurance could ever hope to be.
That was rare that a 10 out of 10 is given out on this show for something that JMR does. Wow. So you're saying that you want absolutely nothing changed?
It was honestly perfect. There was nothing that I could think of that would be better. It executed every possibility that could happen, and all of them were amazing.
Fair enough. I think that Funnel Endurance was good this year. I like the 3 different size funnels. I think that it's true that on the green funnels, things can get a little shoddy with going in at a nice curve and sometimes just dropping straight just the way it's set up, and they need to work on that. They need to work on that drop range and really work on a curve. Have the track start outward and curve a little bit in and just figure that out, because that's a little bit shoddy right now. But other than that, it was a really good event. It was fun to watch. We saw some good teams perform pretty well. If we take a look at the finals right here, we had Rangers up there, which was nice to see. I know they did bad in the finals, but we had other interesting teams. Shining Swarm. Is that Shining Swarm? Oh, no, not Shining Swarm. Let me... no. Oh, no, Shining Order. Yes, Shining Swarm was actually in the finals, along with Momo, of course, and Chocolatiers even. So, it was a really good event with a good diversification. Wow, big word. for new teams, old teams. Speeders, of course, were in there as well. I was definitely a little upset when the Speeders and Rangers dropped in early in the finals, and that just killed my day for sure. But it was suspenseful to the last funnel. I have to be honest, it really was. So I have to say I really enjoyed it. I would give this a 8 out of 10 because I want to see a little bit improvement in the green funnels and how marbles go in. But besides that, it was a really fun event. And it's always a classic. It's a classic. It's a basic of marble sports. It's never going to get too low of a score because it's part of the skills of a marble racer. Since funnels, when marble sports was made, when marbles racing, when marble tracks were made way back in the day, funnels were a basic track piece. So being able to handle yourself in a funnel is very important. And I always love how quickly funnels can change, how like you can go from first place to dropping through 3 funnels quickly by accident and go into last place, and how marbles and all the momentum shift they have. Sometimes a marble can fall in first to a funnel, but then get hit a bunch of times by a different marble. All that transfer momentum is real and can change the outcome very, very drastically. I always enjoy that suspense in funnel endurance for sure. So I have to say this was a fun one to watch, even though my teams underperformed a little bit.
Yeah, I do gotta say that that is probably the one thing that, like, yeah, the transition into the first grand final is a bit rough. That's probably the one thing that could be fixed. But like, just the fact, like, I mean, I think I've always enjoyed the funnels event, but like, I've never been this ecstatic. And I do recognize that part of it is like some of my favorite teams were the ones who were doing well, but like, I probably wouldn't be as excited if it wasn't them, but I do get just like the narrative of seeing that like the massive comebacks and like an incredibly dominant player are just naturally fun things to see and watch that I'm sure I would have been maybe just a little bit less, but still extremely ecstatic watching it.
For sure. But anyway, with that being said, let's just jump into the next one. I mean, there were surprises, I guess. If we take a look at the final funnel standings, let me get to them. Come on. I mean, Chocolatiers won, which is very unexpected, and Rojo Rollers were
first
up
gold
there
since 2017, right?
Yeah, as Greg mentioned. Obviously, it was unfortunate to see the Rangers and the Savage Speeders come up short of the medal in the finals, but it was definitely a flip in the standings. Raspberry Racers got a good medal there. Limers even was able to squib into 8th, which was fun to see. It was a good finishes. Does it show much to me about what's going to happen in the future for these teams? Hard to say because the Chocolatiers are so unpredictable. Same with the Rojo Rollers, but I was definitely worried about the Rangers and the Savage Speeders, seeing them not get top 5, either of them, in funnel endurance, an event that's usually easy points for them. So definitely a mix-up this year with all the new teams.
Agreed. And we'll see that with the next event especially.
Let's talk about Relay.
Yes. Relay, there wasn't too much being shaken up, but like I think like the biggest thing was like that I saw, the Rangers, like they made it to the quarterfinals, but then they kind of lost. It seemed they just lost all their stamina and they just really lost it there. But the finals was so interesting to watch. Like the Savage, like there's the obvious one that everyone knows because Greg mentioned, those Savage Speeders have won 5-meter relay 4 out of 5 times that the event's actually been run, which is ridiculous. That's just kind of insane to think about.
Yeah, I know. I mean, obviously, the Savage Speeders were the favorite to win this one, and they did by a long shot. I'm pretty sure the Rangers don't move on here from the beginning, do they? No, they do. They do get to the
first
next.
Heat
yeah, they do get to this first heat. I forgot about that. And I was hoping for good things, but then they died in the second heat. And I want to take a look.
I was wrong. They made it to semifinals. My bad, not quarterfinals. They made it to semifinals.
Well, quarterfinals is the first heats. I want to take a look at the Rangers in the semifinals. Here, if we can get a look. And it was just disappointing to see, but what really happened is the Rangers start off well, you see, and transfer well. They were in first place, but it all died in that 3rd marble, and the transfer to the 4th marble wasn't even that bad, but the death was in whoever was racing 3rd. And likely that marble was probably the very slow Oranger marble that raced in 5-meter sprint. And there's a weak link in the Orangers relay team, and that showed in that third leg. They were in first, and they dropped like a full foot backwards relative to the other marbles in transferring into that third leg. So either a very, very bad transfer or a very slow third leg, a weak third leg. I don't know which marble that was, unfortunately, but it was disappointing to see. And that weakness has me actually worried for this year on the Orangers. Whoever that marble is a weak link that really could cause problems later on this year. So I gotta say, I don't know. I don't know what to think after seeing that.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm not really sure either, but like for all we know, they were just tired from they put in quite a bit in the first two, so like maybe they just need to learn to, I guess, maintain their stamina more. I don't know. It's tough being on that stage in front of the whole world, you know.
But still, Rangers are used to it, and like they usually excel at these speed events, and to see one marble really falter like that when the rest of the team is pushing like usual it's not nice to see. It's not what we should have seen from a veteran team as such as them. So that's a worry. We have 10 more events, and we could turn it around, but that is a worry for the Rangers for sure. And I don't really know what to do about that. I don't know what they should do about that, because it's abnormal for them for sure.
Yeah.
To talk about the Savage Speeders, I want to talk about them.
All right, sure.
Look at the final. I'm just have the final up here. They start out okay, and then they just take over at the end, and they win. They win by half a foot. All right, and when that happened, I was just like, exactly, that's what's gonna happen. All right, and like honestly, this is the finals, and let's see who actually was in the finals. So Momo, Shining Storm, Indigo Stars. So we had very odd teams in the finals. Teams that we wouldn't like. Momo, we've seen Momo fail miserably at 5-meter relay often in the past. Shining Storm, Indigo Stars, we haven't seen really at all. But I think it just goes to show that no matter who's there, the Savage Speeders aren't going to lose 5-meter relay, and not just win it, but really win it. They were up by, the difference in seconds is 2 full tenths, and that's a lot for 5-meter relay between first and second, and like 4 between first and fourth. So the Speeders are, it was expected, and it was good to see that, because the Speeders were also struggling a little bit early on. But honestly, I think this is the kind of thing that is why I sit here at the beginning of the season and say to you, pick the Savage Speeders for your fantasy, because they will do this. They will have more golds by the end of this season. They will get you more points by the end of the season. They actually got 4th in jousting, which is pretty good for an event that nobody's ever seen before. They're going to get you points. And they're going to do everything they can to make sure they don't finish below the top 5. Because they've never finished below the top 5 in anything. Okay?
You mentioned that Momo does bad in relay, but honestly, they've either finished middle of the pack or top of the pack on most of their relay runs.
They've done unimpressive, we'll say. Momo is not usually the team you think of when you think of relay, because they usually get maybe semifinals and that's it.
Sure, fine, whatever. I guess that's fair.
But I think the Speeders winning is good. Now, for rating, I'll throw a rating out there. I'd say, relay is a classic. I enjoy relay personally. I didn't enjoy watching the Rangers fail, but that doesn't take away from the event itself. So I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It's relay. It has to be there. It's a fun event, so I'm giving it 8 out of 10.
It was interesting. There was some surprisable finishes. EG mentions that the fastest time for that race was it was won by the Shining Swarm, which was a very interesting thing to think about. And because they had the little sand detail again at the end, which I appreciate. So
I think that was fun.
It's a standard event. 8 out of 10 too. Yeah, it's good. Like I guess if you're also reading like if there's room for improvement, is it really anything that they can improve in terms of the execution of it at this point? Honestly,
no, I really don't think so. I like the sand at the end.
I guess if I don't think they've done anything to help prevent the issue that happened in 2019 with Raspberry Racers and the Midnight Wisps. So that could probably still happen again. with the transfer block like flying out. That maybe they have, and they put like an adhesive underneath them. But like I mean, as far as as far as we can tell, it might still be possible to happen again. So I guess that's one thing they could fix. But like
Possibly.
because we haven't seen it, maybe they've already done it. So like I don't know. Like I guess like 8 out of 10. Yeah, it's just is a good event. Is good to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I like relay. I think I always got to be there. It's interesting to see 5-meter sprint, relay, and hurdles all as events this year. Usually they do 2 out of the 3. But it was a fun one. And I like seeing the whole team get out there to race. I love how there's always differences in the handoffs. Marbles really do change positions through the handoffs, and the handoffs matter so much more than even the racing in 5-meter relay. And that's what makes it really exciting to watch. I'm excited for Momo. I really am after seeing them perform in 5-meter relay. I'm obviously sad about the Rangers, but Momo, I mean, they're worth noticing. I usually overlook them. I always think, okay, well, they're a mid-pack team. But they're slowly but surely finding their footing here in the Marble League.
I've been saying it since I think near the end of 2020, dude. Like Momo's been on this redemption arc for these past few years, and it's like I feel like I think it's the year of the Mo, my guy. I think it might be the year of the Mo.
They're not going to win this year, but I think they will place in the top 7. I give you.
I think honestly, dude, I think they're gonna finally podium. I think they're gonna do it.
All right, well, we'll see. We will see. That leaves one more event to talk about. My personal favorite for today, jousting. And going into jousting, Momo was your first place team. So definitely interesting to see that. But jousting. So, Wof, I want to hear, man. Dude, jousting? Come on, man.
I think it's a cool idea. Like in terms of like actually replicating real life jousting, I think this might be about as best they could, even though it's not really jousting. I noticed like how like the ball bearing like seemed to go. I think they put like a small magnet at the center so that the marbles actually had to put some effort to make the bearing actually move.
No, it wasn't a magnet. It was a divot. It was a divot.
Oh, it's a divot.
Yep.
That's a very small detail to I guess like I was at work watching it, so I didn't have like a bigger screen than my tiny laptop to. I guess like
it's
zoom
actually a
in.
tiny divot in the center, so the ball kind of sits. So you have to actually put some force in it.
That's pretty good.
That's why like the ball kind of would like roll around like a funnel sometimes when it was hit right in the center and stayed there.
But like I love the strategies that were utilized, like going back up the ramp or how Momo did, like they kind of backspin off of the track by hitting it and then going into it for another hit. Like there's the exchange where like it didn't really like the Chocolatiers and like Mellow Yellow, like they like hit about like 3 times each, which was kind of cool. You could really see a definite like the best strategy of maintaining, like I know there's a specific word for it, but like 2 combined bodies being so close together, they're basically considered like one. So like, by being so close, they're basically putting all their energy in hitting it at once. Or like if they're close enough, they'll bounce off and then hit the ball a second time. Whereas it's like there was definitely some strategy that you could clearly see being at play there. So it was actually easy to follow. I think maybe the worst part about it was like it was hard to tell I think it was centimeters just based on the size of the marbles, but and like the dashes on the side were what they were gauging it off of, but it was hard to tell like what was the points referring to, like was it centimeters and like what like was it
centimeters over to the other person's side.
And it took me a while, but I think it was like they were measuring it based off of the center of the bearing, just because like that 0.9 and that 0.9 at one point. So like it took a bit of like personal effort to actually fully understand it, which I think is which is definitely a sign of a poor explanation. But like it's the first event. It's same thing happened with surfing 2 years ago. We all know how that went. So, but I think this was a fun one. I think I just need some more time with it. It does feel a lot like Collision, but it's unique in its own way. It's definitely better than Newton's Cradle. And I also like that little detail, like I don't know if anyone else noticed it, but like on the pit beneath them, they put those little yellow ramps, and like I could tell like those were basically meant to like where the marbles could roll up it to get out of the pit, like they get basically like a ladder system.
Oh my god! Now I'm looking at it, that's what it is for. That was really cool.
That's a cute detail. I love that. I adore details like that. That's wonderful. Yella, great job on that. So you know what? 7 out of 10. It was a fun event. Bit hard to understand, but nice details and some interesting strategy to decipher.
This event's a 10 out of 10. This is an easy 10 out of 10. Like, not even like a question. This is a 10 out of 10. Three things I like about jousting. Number one, it's a new idea. It's a creative new idea. That's simple and easy to understand. Yeah, the centimeter thing, Wof was confused at first. But simple and easy to understand. Marbles come down, you try to push the ball bearing to the other team's side. Simple. Easy to understand. You push it to the other side, you win. Okay? It has a simplicity to it that just like 5-meter sprint and relay and collision, well, collision's a little complex, but that's in its own thing. More like, what other event? Funnel endurance. It's just a simple, basic test of marble skill. Block push, which is a little evolution of block push and collision together. It's simple, and I love that about the event. I love how interesting it is in its simplicity. I love the attention to detail around the arena, of course, with the divot in the middle with the ball bearing. I love how fun it is to watch just like collision, to watch marbles come down and a group of them all collide into each other and things roll around. I love the unintended extra strategy added as the marbles sometimes would roll back up the ramp and come down for a second hit or kind of spin back and then come back for a second hit. That unintended additional strategy or unintended additional chaos, you could say, Marble Chaos Theory back to episode 10, that's added there really adds to the excitement of the event because it's not over yet. They come down and hit, the marble starts, bearing starts to roll. It's not over necessarily. Marble could go back up the ramp, come back and direct it some other way. All right? There's so much excitement and suspense in its simplicity, just like funnel endurance and 5-meter sprint, that I could not love this event more. I love how the tracks are staggered. So instead of the marbles coming down right across that center line, one team comes down on the right, one team on the near side, one team on the far side, slightly to cause spin on the ball, to cause an importance of it kind of does really point to strength being important here instead of just hitting the ball second. Because think about it, if the tracks were right down the center line, then all you'd have to do is just hit the ball second, because then the marbles would have enough strength to redirect it. Another team that hit it second would redirect it every single time. But because they're staggered like that and they're not down the center line, even you don't necessarily have to hit the ball bearing second to win. You just have to be stronger, and you have to have a tight pack group and have a good strategy. I mean, it's part of that. So I think this event was just set up so well. It was fun to watch. I love how unintended there could be ties because of that center divot, and sometimes marbles would just impact each other so equally. There's so much to love here. I want to see this again every year. I want to see this every year. I want this to replace something else and be in Marble League every year because it was that good.
There is actually one thing that I did kind of forget to mention. Like there was one point where like the tie between Momo and another team, and for whatever reason they swapped sides, but that was the only time they did that. I feel like Yella just forgot which ones was on which side.
That's possible.
I don't know. Like that's just kind of that also kind of coming out like, oh, is that what's supposed to happen? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the big thing for me, and when we talk about making good marble sports, and we have before, and like really what makes good marble sports, events need to have as much simplicity as possible, but so we're easy to understand. We're like, I could watch this, not hear any commentary, not know much about marble sports, and be like, okay, yeah, obviously the goal for the one team on the right is to push it to the left. That's obvious without knowing anything. I know the centimeters thing might be confusing, Wof, but that's the obvious goal here. But even with that obvious and simple goal, the possibilities, the chaos that can ensue in the arena, the possible formations of marbles after the ball is hit are literally endless. And we saw crazy things. Crazy marbles going way back up the ramp. We saw marbles splay out to the sides. We saw marbles spin. We saw the ball bearing sometimes go half a centimeter, or sometimes 100 centimeters. No, not 100, 10 centimeters. Like, it really is one of those simple but impossible to be the same every single time event. And you can't get better than that. This is true facilitating good marble chaos in an event. This is exactly what I mean when even back as far as episode 10, saying that marble sports is at its peak when you have simplicity, you have an event, but you allow for unintended chaos. It is.
You're yeah, and think about it now. Like this is like it's nice to actually have a more unique event, where that like really that like has a look and feel to it that's very different from other ones. And you are kind of pulling me over a little bit. I think I might bump my rating up to an 8 out of 10.
Wow, an 8! Oh my god, an 8! Oh my god, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, I'm excited.
I mean, like I don't like it as much as you do, but like I'm actually really happy for you. I'm glad that you really liked this and that you enjoyed it, because like honestly, that's just what we're all here for. We're all here to have fun. Like if everyone can like have moments like that, like funnel endurance for me or jousting for you, it's like that's, I feel like that's fantastic. That's what we're all here for.
Yeah, I agree. It's just really fun. Jousting is just really fun. To pause here at the standings, we'll take a look at the standings to wrap up. Here, let me get that up here. I think it makes sense to me, the teams we see at the top 5. Hazers, Mellow Yellow, Team Momo, Savage Speeders, or Rangers. What do those teams have in common? They are all fast teams. They are all... Well, now, I guess the Hazers are still on the verge of veteran team, but besides the Hazers, they're all veteran teams. The Hazers are a strong team. And the rest of them have a good stat for strength, a very good stat for speed, and they're veteran teams.
And like,
what do we see about the bottom? So 1 second. What do we see about the bottom? Green Ducks, Glaciers, Mini Maniacs, Rojo Rollers. Those bottom 4 are all newer teams to the ballpark here. They're all teams that we don't think of when we think speed. They're all teams we don't think of when we think strength. Green Ducks are new, but I do not think strength when I think Green Ducks. I do think speed, but I think more consistency and just overall balance across. I think balance really, but overall balance across skills. But they don't stand out as a speedy team. They don't stand out as a strong team. But the top 5 are veteran standout teams. And for a new event like this, it makes a lot of sense to me that they're in the top 5 this year.
Yeah, and like I'm not gonna like say that this definitively is the case, because like I imagine like if I went into the stats, if I see this, like there's maybe some exceptions to this, but like when I hear about those top 5 teams, like generally one thing I do think about is strong teamwork, and that's also a factor of like understanding each other and working well together is what really determines how well you did in jousting. So I feel like someone probably tell me, well, actually, the Haters or Mellow Yellow are not really good at team events, and which is, yeah, okay, fine, fair enough. But like, just when I think of these teams specifically, strong camaraderie and teamwork is one of the things I think of.
Yeah, Raspberry Racers as a very teamwork based team up there in 6 as well, by the way. And yeah, these teams that just know each other at this point, Speeders and Rangers know each other. They're going to be able to perform decently. Now, I would have liked to see the O'Rangers and the Speeders do a little better. I will say the O'Rangers did a little bit better than expected, because they did... Okay, Hazers won and were by far the best at jousting. O'Rangers did by far the best against the Hazers. If you look at the Hazer stats, we got 4.9 they won by, 6.6 and 11.2. The O'Rangers only lost to them by 0.9. So the O'Rangers by far gave them the biggest run for their money. If the O'Rangers faced any other team, honestly, they probably would have won. They probably would have beat Momo. They probably would have beat Mellow Yellow. They probably would have beat Savage Speeders.
Maybe.
Hazers were just cracked at jousting. So, something to think about. The O'Rangers didn't do that bad, and they ended up in 5th from it anyway, so not bad. Savage Speeders, of course, showing that they're not messing around. They still coming with a 4th. It's no medal, and they're definitely upset they didn't get a medal, especially since they lost to Momo, which is for the Savage Speeders. You have to consider the fact that they and Momo have been around for a long time, and the Savage Speeders, because Momo sucked a long time ago, kind of brush Momo off often. So to see Momo defeat them at something like this is going to annoy them quite a bit. But we got a long Marble League to go here. we're running low on time, but Wof, looking at the standings right now, which I have up here on the Chrome, what do you see? Let's say, okay, it's event 6. What do you at the halfway point? All right, because what are the next 2 events? What are actually the next 2 events?
Hurdles is next. Oh, you want to see the
Hurdles.
preview? Watch the preview.
Well, okay, let's do predictions first, and then we'll watch the preview.
Okay.
Let's just watch the preview first. All right, so there's a preview for what Hurdles is going to look like. I'm excited for that. Let's see if the preview comes up here. It's apparently going to be different. It's not going to be the little pendulums. Well, actually, that's going to change up things a lot.
Hurdles and block pusher next.
Oh my God, they did this so well. It's kind of like they have a slope up and then they kind of fall off a little cliff there. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited for that.
Momo is good at block pushing, so I expect them to do well. Hazers have been not doing.
Wait, we got block pushing this year?
Yep.
Really? They did block pushing and jousting? Holy crap!
Yeah.
And they couldn't throw collision in there.
Yeah, hazers do not have a good history apparently with block pushing, so like they don't. That's a bit of a toss up. Speeders, I don't remember them doing well with either. Like they didn't group up well last time I saw, at least for last year's block pushing. So
actually,
they did.
I want to see some because I believe that I have to go find ML fans. I feel like.
I get the feeling that hurdles is going to be very similar to 5-meter sprint, maybe, but like it's hard because this is now that they're innovating hurdles and it's different than was before. It's going to require a different skill set. So, both landing smoothly and then continuing that momentum without bouncing on the walls and whatnot. So it's gonna be interesting to see how well they all adapt because it's a little bit of a different ball game now. Not sure how. Don't really know what to expect other than maybe similar results to 5-meter sprint.
I don't think it's going to be similar results to 5-meter sprint just because hurdles is different this year. But I think because there's a difference, you're going to see veteran teams excel because they're going to be more easily able to switch to the difference than a rookie team. I personally think that the O-Rangers will do well in block pushing because their record is really good. First, fifth, and third in block pushing. Hurdles is different, Case, and look at the preview at the end of the thing. So, anyway.
That's us, man. As Case and
forgot I renamed him Case and
yeah.
Case. Why not? Here's what I think. I was in the middle of my predictions. I think, like I said, veteran teams are going to do better in 5-meter hurdle this year. Rangers should do good in block pushing based on their track record. I'm really hoping for a podium this year for block pushing. I'm hoping for a resurgence on hurdles. And I got to be honest with you right now. By the halfway point, if Rangers are not in the top 8, then we have a big problem. It needs to happen now. There's no more time for waiting. Rangers have to turn around now. These are 2 classics. Hurdles and block pushing are classics. The Rangers have sat with these events for a long time. Okay? They have to perform this year in these events if they're going to turn things around for the back half of the Marble League. Savage Speeders, I expect to sit about at 4th place by the end of these 2 events. They will probably win hurdles.
That's what I'm thinking too, yeah.
Or at least podium. I'm going to give them 2nd for hurdles. I feel like someone's going to edge them out, but they could win. I think they will middle pack and block pushing. It's just not their thing usually. But they'll probably go sit about 4th place at the end of it. Team Momo is not good. I don't see Team Momo doing very well in these next 2 events. Block pushing is. I'm going to take a look here.
I remember Momo doing good.
No, they're actually good. No, they got 2nd and 2nd so far in block pushing. So never mind.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think Momo might hold their lead. I don't know. Raspberry Racers, I expect good in block pushing because of their high teamwork ability, and also good in hurdles. Thunderbolts may slip here. Indigo Stars, I do not expect to hold 5th place through these 2 events. These are classics. These are where the veterans have to show they're here. They're here to play. Crazy Cat's Eyes, it's hard to speak for them because they're always so unpredictable event to event. But I really think, what I want to happen is to see the Rangers at 7th by the end of these 2 events. But what I need to happen is to see the Rangers at least 9th by the end of these 2 events. Or hope is going to be very thin on this team.
We'll see.
If I have to be realistic, I think your top 5 at the halfway point are going to be Momo in first, Speeders in second, Racers in third, I'd say. Hard to say who fourth is, but I feel like the Ducks or the Cat's Eyes will be fourth. Ducks or Cat's Eyes will be fourth by that. And then probably Chocolatiers in fifth. That's what I see for a top 5.
Chocolatiers?
That's what I see.
Wow.
Chocolatiers have been fast this year. Chocolatiers aren't a bad block pushing team either. Let me. I did not record stats on them, but I believe they're not that bad. I'd have to look into that. And they're around for a while, so they're going to adapt better to the 5-meter hurdles. Like I said, Momo is probably going to hold first through these next 2 events.
These are teams I never hear you talk positive about, so I'm honestly just kind of excited. This is such a fun year. I'm it's great for me. I'm glad that we're having so much fun this year after everything that's happened before this. This has been a nice palate cleanser, man.
Chocolatiers, I honestly, Chocolatiers and Momo have done enough good lately that I actually think they will hold a top 8 spot for the duration of the Marble League. They will. Except if the Glaciers step in. Because I don't know what's going to happen with the Glaciers. It's very...
What is up with them?
If the Crazy Cat's Eyes step in. If the Hazers continue to step in. Then the Chocolatiers might push down. Then, Indigo Stars won't stay up there. But then Momo might have trouble. But as long as those teams continue to be mediocre, I see Chocolatiers holding top 8 for the rest of the year. I see Team Momo easily holding top 5 for the rest of the year. We'll see, though. That's going to do it for today. We've talked for a long time. Wof, why don't you take us out for today?
All right, so... originally, this episode was going to be recorded on July 31st, and July 30th is International Friendship Day. Now, you might be wondering, why does that matter, Wof? Well, you see, I had plans for a belated celebration, but it's even more belated now because things have happened. Now, so to give context, I had an idea for a cover I wanted to do way back before episode 100 happened, but then I'm talking with Kasem and I was like, you know what, doing a redo of Revenge would be better. It was like, well, but I really want to do this cover, so when can I do it? And it's like, well, this cover has somewhat to do with friendship, so I'm gonna see if I can find a holiday related to that. And then I found out that International Friendship Day exists. It's like, okay, I guess I'll do that. So it's a lot more belated than I expected, but I have here's a Wof Tunes for you. And if you're a non-YouTube listener, and when you get the chance, I think you should watch this one on YouTube just because I'm adding something a little special.
Awesome.
With that,
thanks, Wof, for doing that. By the way, I'm excited.
No problem. With that, I give you Disney's Friend Like Me. Roll on, Marvel sports fans. Master, I don't think you quite realize what you got here. So why don't you just ruminate whilst I illuminate the possibilities? Well, Bubba had them 40 thieves, Scheherazade had 1,000 tales. But Master, you're in luck, cause up your sleeves you got a brand of magic never fails. You got some power in your corner now, some heavy ammunition in your camp. You got some punch, pizzazz, Yahoo and how. See, all you gotta do is rub that lamp, and I'll say, Mr. Aladdin, sir, what will your pleasure be? Let me take your order, jot it down. You ain't never had a friend like me. Ha ha ha! Life is your restaurant, and I'm your melody. Come on, whisper what it is you want. You ain't never had a friend like me. Yes, sir, we pride ourselves on service. You're the boss, the king, the shah. Say what you wish, it's yours. True dish, about a little more baklava. Have some of column A, try all of column B. I'm in the mood to help you, dude. You ain't never had a friend like me. Oh my. No, no. Nah, nah, nah. Your friends do this. Your friends do that. Your friends pull this out their little hat. Your friends go, woo! Well, looky here. Can your friends go abracadabra? Let her rip and then make the sucker disappear. Don't you sit there slack jaw, bug it out. I'm here to answer all your midday prayers. You got me bona fide certified. You got a genie for a charged affairs. I got a powerful urge to help you out. It's what you wish I really want to know. You got a list that's 3 miles long, no doubt. Well, all you gotta do is rub like so and oh. Mr. Aladdin, sir, have a wish or 2 or 3. I'm on the job, you big nabob. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend like me. You ain't never had a friend like me. Ha!